Okay guys, good evening. Thanks to Helene and thanks to Colin for brokering this kind of invite and facilitating and hosting a great event. It's my first time here, and I have to say there seems to be a great vibe here. You guys look to be quite regulars, so you know, well done, good stuff. I'm going to take you into the real world of protecting our environment, okay? Quick quiz question. The two streams here are actually the same two streams. One's brown, one's clean. What do you think the difference in time is between the two photos? Anybody? In hours? I'll give you a clue, it's less than 10 hours it takes to change from that to that. 1 hour. Any advances on 1 hour? 6, no. 3, 2 hours from that to that. That's how quickly the environment reacts to rainfall, okay? And the stuff you see in that river there is diffuse pollution. It is pollution that's been washed off the fields and from farms, and it affects our biodiversity. It affects your drinking water quality, and it affects our bathing waters. And it's our job as SEPA to protect that in Scotland. So Scotland, who even knows where it is? A lot of people were looking at my badge going, what even is SEPA? Where is Scotland? So there we are, 5.5 million people, 5 major cities. We have 2 national parks, the Cairngorms and Loch Lomond and Trossachs, and 51,000 kilometres of rivers to look after, 25,000 lakes, or lochs as we call them in Scotland, and 85 EU reportable bathing waters to look after and make sure they're clean and maintain standards. And yes, that is a Scottish bathing water right there. It's here. So please go and see it. Luscantire is the bathing water. It's amazing. So we need to keep these clean. And we have to do this with only 1,300 staff across the whole of Scotland. It's quite a large area. It's rugged, it's remote, it's windy, wet and cold. And we have a miserly, stingy 80 million pounds given to us from the Scottish Government. So it's not a lot to deal with. So we've got to be smart, we've got to be canny, we've got to be intelligent in how we use our staff and how we deploy them to the field to tackle this pollution issue. We can't just send them everywhere. We haven't got enough staff. So this talk, I should just go back quickly, one. This talk is going to cover how we protect the environment through the use of technology, a hybrid of technologies. It's not just data science, it's geospatial technology as well. A hybrid is key here. How we use the hybrid of technology to enable staff to be focused in the way they work and to enable staff in the office, in the desktops, to be digitally skilled and have this data available to their fingertips, okay, to be able to make fast, rapid decisions. So the problem, pollution, diffuse pollution from farming is the topic here. So these are different pressures in our environment. Morphological alterations are straightened rivers, reservoirs, exchange of water. They're big things. Diffuse pollution from agriculture is our 3rd biggest pressure. So it is a major problem. We know that. We've got years of data to confirm that. Diffuse pollution are things like this. Leaky slurry stores, manure piles that are leaking, you can see it here. Soil erosion. Soil moves, pollutants bind onto the soil, wash into the rivers, down the river. Where does the river end up? In the sea, on the beach. We all like to swim in the sea and on the beach. Fertilizers, fuel leakage, pesticides, these are all encompassed in the term diffuse pollution. So, how do we target it? I've introduced you to that terminology before at the start. We've got to be canny and smart about how we use our limited staff. Targeting, targeting, targeting is critical for the way we work. And geospatial modeling is critical. We have hundreds of data sets in our agency, all geographically based, and we use these to allow us to focus in to where the problem really is. So we're efficient at deploying our staff, right? So we use a hybrid of geospatial technologies such as Esri, QGIS, etc., etc. And we look at things like the annual water quality classification here. You can see the reds and yellows, which are the bad water quality classifications. We have other things into the mix, drinking water protected areas, triple SIs, SACs, all these protected areas under EU legislation. We throw those into the mix. What pops out? A map of where we need to go. So this is the first screen here of what we call our priority catchments in Scotland. Reds are the first phase, the highest priority ones. The blue ones are the second phase. Now you might say, well, hang on a minute, they're still pretty big areas, you know. The Tay catchment here, the biggest one in Scotland. So we then deploy more GIS targeting technologies to then say, well, actually, within the Tay catchment, we can screen out 80% of the catchment. We know that the bottom end of the system is really where the farming is and where the impacts are, using various different data sets, and we can screen out 80%, saving us even more work. So this is the holy grail for us. This is maybe 2 years worth of work to produce that map. We're confident in years and years of water quality monitoring goes into the mix, local staff knowledge, monitoring data. That is the holy grail for us. So this is where we're going to send our staff to monitor farm activities. How do we do it? We're going to go out and assess compliance on all farms in that operational area in the previous map. Okay? So there's something like 11,000 farms to deal with in that map, in that area. We're going to do 2 types of inspections. We're going to do a full farm inspection, so a comprehensive look across the farm, steading, field assessment, the way he handles pesticides, fertilizers, all these things. They're all assessed against legislation given to us by the Scottish Government in 2008. That's the important thing. We have legislation to regulate against. We're not just going in there saying, please can you do this, please can you do that. We have a legislation behind it that says, you've got to do that, you may take 3 strikes until you get there, but we've got a legislation backstop, it has teeth. And then, depending on what we find in the farm, we go back 6 to 9 to 12 months later to say, okay guys, have you done what we asked you to do? And we check all these. And these are the kind of things we're dealing with on the side there. Management of slurries, manures, oil, drainage, waste. And we do this with only 15 farm specialists to cover that whole area. And we give them a tablet, and we give them bespoke geospatial software to capture all the data, and we come back to the office and recompile all that data using TIBCO software. Now, the key to success of this piece of work, which is 6 years of work compressed into a 20 minutes talk, so it's quite a tough shift to get across, really, the complexity behind this. The key to success is really working so closely with the field staff, letting them design it, and we're listening. They design, we listen. We don't design, develop, and force feed them a tool. It never works that way. It never works. They have to design it, and we do it. The second critical success factor is embedding these tools into a business workflow for us. Okay? So it becomes natural. It's a genetic thing. It's a day-to-day workflow that they are used to and they use every day. That's the key to the success of this piece of work. So I want to take you through a quick workflow of this, how it works. So we have tools in TIBCO Spotfire developed for pre-inspection planning. So before the farm inspector even thinks about going into the field, they may not even know the farm. They use a tool to familiarize themselves with where they're going. Who owns the farm? What's his phone number? So I can call him to organize the visit. What kind of farm it is? What animals he's got? What's his history? Is there an environmental event or incident that's happened there 10 years ago? Has he got violence and aggression issues? Has he got pit bull terriers? These are really important things for our staff to be known to know about before they go out. Yeah, health and safety. All on a dashboard. Farm inspection, I'm going to skip over that. This is not of primary interest here. Needless to say, it takes a day, 2 days, depending on the size of the farm. All data collected digitally, comes back to the database, is synced and committed into an Oracle database. Back in the office, the staff wants to know the quality of that assessment they've done. Is it all there? Does it make sense? Did they make any errors? Did the photos go into the database okay? They can query that and check it all in Spotfire. Next, a critical bit. How we feed back to the farmer, how his assessment went, how his inspection went. Is he compliant? Is he not compliant? Has he got advisories? When are we coming back to visit him? This would take up to a day or 2 days to manually write that letter. We have a tool that automatically writes that, okay? So it automatically formats the SEPA letter, SEPA headed letter with the findings. It's bespoke to the farmer, all coming back from the database. It tabulates the non-compliances, the advisories, puts in maps, all comes back from the database. Takes 2 seconds to do it. And it can be PDF'd and out the door on an email. Minutes rather than months to do that previously. That is a major win for us because we can keep our staff out doing that work where they need to be rather than messing around, shuffling papers, writing letters, blah, blah, blah. Managers' dashboards, they can check up on how efficient their staff are working. Yeah? Who's doing what? You know, who's slacking, who's maybe, you know, just kind of cruising, you know, and that itself actually has generated this kind of cool kind of competition within the staff because they're looking at this and there's a tab inside this tool that shows medals, gold, silver, bronze, who's done the most inspections, yeah? So it's just a bit of fun, but it allows us to see quickly headline statistics on how we're doing. So that is the workflow. So it's a hybrid of technology. It's not all in one platform. So details, pre-inspection. We're back to the desktop before we've gone out to the inspection. We can see here that Spotfire is bringing back a lot of geographic data. It's bringing back all the Scottish Government farm parcel data, what's planted in it, who owns the farm, the telephone number, the address, the name, the size of the fields, the number of fields, all these things that the inspector needs to know before he goes to do the inspection. Whoops. Headline key performance indicators, always good to know. Various filters. They have complete control of where they're interested in. It may be another catchment. It's all on demand, this data. Okay? So it's going to the database depending on how we set these filters. We can zoom into the farm and interrogate further, so we can now see the names and addresses. You can't see the telephone number, or those I'll be sacked. The size of the farm, the percentage of farm in the water body, what kind of animals they've got, and the major land use. It's just a quick up to speed before you visit the farm. We can interrogate the livestock on the farm or over catchments. This is accumulated up to catchments to see what the trend is in the catchment. And you can see in the tool, all these are tabbed. So it's kind of like a workflow across the top here. Environmental events. What's the history of the farm? Has there been leakages before? Has there been oil spills, waste burning, blah, blah, blah. All these things. And violence and aggression. You know, we have plenty of those. And the staff member needs to know if there's going to be a pit bull meeting him on the door. Yeah? So farm inspection, 1 to 2 days, skip. We don't need to do that. Back in the office again, we've done the farm inspection, the data's gone to the Oracle database, and then I'm reviewing it. So we can really drill down to the different parts of the farm inspection here. And we can pull up any of the photos that are taken. There's hundreds of thousands of photos taken from here. They're all pulled up on demand. We can interrogate detail, what the non-compliances are, where they are on the map. The letter tool. Fantastic piece of kit. And this guy over here developed it, so awesome job. This saves us so much time. So much time. I mean, it looks professional, yeah? I mean, at the click of a button, brilliant. And we have another tool that allows us to aggregate that up onto large catchments, you know, to get national statistics, to report back to government, to report back to managers how we're doing. What's the trend in this pollution? What's the trend in this steadying non-compliance? All headline figures we need to have our fingers on. Steadying compliance. So we can see here that the main problem here is storage of oils. It's not actually pesticides or soil erosion, which I would have expected. It's leaky oil storage tanks. Slurry statistics, really important. Slurry contains E. coli, makes us all ill if we ingest it. If we can store slurry for longer, the E. coli population drops exponentially. So the longer we store it, the less harmful it is to our environment. Okay? So these statistics tell us that we need to store slurry for longer. And we feed back to the government to say, you need to subsidise more storage of slurry. So the benefits, I'm hoping they're coming through here. Strong theme. Top line, nearly 9,000 farm inspections, all captured digitally. No pens, paper, anything in sight. No typos, consistent collection of data. Our staff are in the field doing this fantastic work to clean up our environment where they should be. They're trained and paid to do that job. They're not paid to do Excel. They're not paid to do GIS. They're not paid to do the complexities of data joins that we all do. It's our job to make them stay in the field. We need to make it a pain-free experience for them. Okay? These are non-technical staff. Our dashboards are designed with them. They're simple, they're intuitive. If they're not, we go back around and do it again. And we keep looping around until it's right. And we shield them from all this complexity of data. Our Scottish Government data is horrendous. It is horrendous. We could never give them the data to deal with. No way would be. We wouldn't have 1,000 farm inspections completed doing it manually. And all these tools just need a web browser. We deliver all our tools through the web player. Okay, so that's all we need. We don't need Spotfire installed. We don't need specific data, analytics skills, nothing like that. It's just a web browser. And all our data is live at all times. And that's critical for us. So the staff are confident that whatever they're looking at is real. It's not 3 years old. Yeah, it's real. And they know they're getting what they want, not what we gave them, which is a critical error that a lot of developers make. They sit there on their desktops, develop something and give it to the customer, and it's sometimes never what they want. We can feed back to the farmer how non-compliant or how good he's been within minutes or days rather than months. Okay? Now that's great because we can speed up environmental improvement. That's the theory. They're making the changes, they're becoming compliant, and they're producing less pollutants into our atmosphere, into our environment. Okay, so anybody notice the question mark there? Improved environmental quality. This is work that's going on at the moment to ascertain that. Actually, is all this work making an actual change? Is it affecting the quality of the environment? There's a lag time in a lot of this, sometimes months, sometimes years, sometimes tens of years. But we're now embarking on this statistical analysis to say, is all this work that we've invested in making a difference? So headline figures, there's a 40% drop in overall non-compliance of farmers, which is good. We've been doing it now for 5 years. Slightly higher drop in steady non-compliance. So steady is things like management of slurries and manures and cattle and drainage. And we see a 43% drop in field non-compliance. So things like overspraying of fertilizers into watercourses, soil erosion things. So we're moving in the right direction. That's the key thing. And this is what our managers need to see. And this is what our staff need to see to keep momentum going. And there are massive savings in this, down to time. 80%. We've been very, very careful about how we quantify this, because this is important to present to managers for further investment and proof of concept. Estimated at 1.4 million in staff time so far, over 6 years. So we're happy with that. So other spin-offs. There's bits in this data set that we collect that we never expected to be used. So Scottish Government came to us and said to us, well, what's the uptake of soil testing? What's the uptake of nutrient management? How much fertilizer you put into the farm, onto the land? We can supply that, bang, straight away. Okay? Needs a bit of work, but it's still quite good. We thought it'd be worse than that. Storage of slurries, I've talked about that before. We need to store it for longer because the E. coli drops off in concentration radically. So the longer we store it, the better it is when it's spread onto the land for fertilizer. And we can see there's a radical shift from 70% to 88%. in farmers that have got more than 3 months worth of slurry storage. And all this is in the tool, Spotfire. I've got to stop. The boss at the back says I need to stop. I've actually finished. So what I want to show, what I've hopefully shown you here is that the use of digital technology in a hybrid manner and equipping our staff with digital tools in simple web browsers radically changes the way that we operate in the environment to protect it. I cannot share that tool with you because it's an internal tool due to sensitivity issues with the farming data. But if you are interested in other stuff that we've done, please go to the Scotland's Environment website. There are many Spotfire-based web tools on there that we've done for the Scottish Government, and it will give you a good flavour of the kind of functionality and tools that we've produced. There's a lot in there, 7 years of work in 20 minutes. I hope it's given you a flavour of what we've done. Any questions, you can grab me now for 2 or 3 minutes, I think, or after. I'm happy to talk. Thanks very much.